So, hey, everybody, thanks for listening and watching. I am here with PJ Marshall, acting tour de force. PJ Marshall, how are you doing, good sir?
Doing good, John. Doing good.
You said you had a boxing workout? Is that what you said?
There's a local bar named Sissy McGinty's, and the guy that runs the place, Donald, he's a boxer, professional. And I just started training with him in the park. Getting real expert lessons, because I did a lot of training years ago, so I do on my own. But now I'm getting a brush-up course with this guy, and whew.
Kicking your ass?
No, not necessarily kicking my ass, but the workout and is oof, you know.
That's
it's good
great.
though.
So, are you like a workout kind of guy? I'm definitely not. Are you always like you need to be doing some stuff?
Yeah. I feel better when I do.
Yeah.
I was always an athlete, and the only problem is when I don't deal with my emotions very well. That helps, but so does nicotine and the occasional edible. The right one, the wrong one makes it worse. But other than that,
so it helps. It helps.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. You have to, I'm trying to maintain this 40 to 50s range for the next 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to be so dedicated to it. I think, like my dad, I don't know if I told you this, but my dad, he like ran miles and miles, like every single day,
Jeez.
Even up until like his 70s.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think people that run for fun are like insane. I mean, it's like,
I got to tell you though, you reach a certain point where there's a high to it. And when you're done, there's such a high. There's such a release of all the shit you were feeling earlier. And what helps with me is it gets me back to the present.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's the main thing, because otherwise I'm a prison in my head, and that's the worst damage that anybody can do to themselves is their own up here,
Right. Do you, I mean, in your craft is so you're an actor. I think I said that already, but is that also something that can be used to exercise those pressures, those anxieties, or do they create more of them?
Both. If you have anxiety, what you're trying to do is alleviate the anxiety or let it pass through you. And if you got a big emotional scene coming up,
yeah,
anxiety can start in. Oh God, I gotta be emotional in this place at this certain time in this certain shot while we still got this certain light,
Right.
So it's a balance act that way. Let me try.
Make sure it's good and tight. That cover comes loose in the field and you're gonna lose another whole day of work.
I've done this before.
Yeah, you have. Up and down the back 40 all night searching for it. Weather reports say we're not gonna get a break from this heat anytime soon. God help us if we get another weak yield this season.
God ain't gonna do shit, Mom. I'm telling you, we gotta go big. We gotta get out. More field corn. Maybe even soybeans. Otherwise, we're gonna have a for sale sign on our field next.
Don't you dare say that. If your daddy heard you say that, he'd
Dad wouldn't have driven by George's farm every day without making an offer.
make an offer with what? We haven't even recouped our losses from shutting down dairy production.
Selling the cows was the best idea we ever had. And it's not enough. It's still not enough.
If you spent as much time working as you did bitching.
As far as the other part of the question, the beginning part, sure. Like I'm working on a play called Hurly Burly right now.
Okay. Heard of it.
And the character that I'm working on, it's frightening how identical my life feels with that life at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes when that happens, it's cool because you feel like you can really express something deeply, because that's the only way to get through certain things is by expressing those feelings. Otherwise they're just sitting there with you, you know?
Yeah.
So getting to express them is a very invigorating feeling, you know, when you really get to express it, like when it's really coming from the deep. But, you know, I feel like when you're a pretty sensitive person, your imagination can really affect you just as a memory can. You know, my teacher used to say as if, you know, your best friend's dying next to you. If you really imagine it, you can go there, you know, or is that your mother there laying on the ground? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
For guys like me with anxiety, it's not the job itself; it's the pressure one puts on oneself.
So because I can't imagine the world and the mind and the anxiety of being a performer. Let's go back
Let's look at Allison.
Allison McAtee.
Allison is so damn good in this movie.
Yeah.
And you're that vulnerable and you're that naked. It doesn't feel good. You don't know how it is, which is where you're supposed to be. And I remember her in tears, but I've been in that place where you just feel like you suck. And I was like,
self-doubt.
Yeah. And my heart went out to her and I was like, no, are you kidding? I wouldn't bullshit you. But she got through it. And then you look at the damn performance, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fucking great. Yeah, I mean, but you have to have a lot of trust in so many things, right? And we've talked about this before. Like
Completely.
you can come prepared, and you kind of just alluded to this. You can come prepared, you can do everything right, but something technically could be fucked up, like the light could screw up, you know, the shot could be out of focus, you know, the person you're acting against might be distracting or not, you know, kind of in the same headspace that you're playing off of. Like there's so many factors that have to go right. So
which is kind of a challenge.
Which is kind of a challenge.
Which I like.
Yeah.
Which I think we if we didn't want those challenges, we wouldn't. I mean, Jesus Christ, as a director, wow, John, I can imagine the amount of challenges is that you're going through on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a minute basis.
Sure.
You know, with exactly what we're talking about.
But I get to hide behind the camera. You have to be out there. You have to put yourself out there and be the vulnerable one.
Sure. But you know what? It's like, I think after a while as an actor, that's your job. And when you really put it that way, like, well, that's my job. I got to do that. It takes some of the pressure off too, because you're like, that's my job. So that's what we do.
Did it take you a while to get to that kind of mental state and understanding of the business and of performance? Like, were you always a performer at a young age?
I can say it. Oh, I can say exactly what I just said, but I don't exactly adhere to it all the time, you know?
Well, sure. You're human. You're a human being.
Yeah. As a kid, I think I naturally was a performer, like a clown, like the class clown. I was always making people laugh.
My report cards, my teachers, like in grade school, elementary school for sure, I would always get John's the class clown. And my parents would always be like, well, you better get good grades being the smart ass out there. So were you the same? Were you getting the class clown marks?
Yeah, but I wasn't getting the good grades. So it was like, oh, shit. Welcome to penitentiary school. That's where you're headed, buddy. No. Yeah, I was always pulling shit, and getting in trouble for it usually. But I always knew what was funny.
Yeah.
I knew like just the right moment. Like I could really, but I couldn't take it if someone gave it back to me. Like if I made fun of this kid in a great way and everybody laughed and he just came to lunch and just punched me, I'd be like, oh, fuck. I don't know what to do now.
That's the same way. Yeah, always try and talk my way out of a fight.
Sure, man.
That I usually would start, right?
Yeah. Well, when I was in first grade, we had we enacted a circus.
Wow. Okay.
The students
tell me about that. What do you mean a circus? They just
like,
said, kids, make a circus.
You're the lion tamer and you're the this, and I'm like, I'm the lion, or no, I'm the tiger, and I didn't even have to think about it. I was like, oh, and I was jumping through the hoops, and they're like, he's the tiger. I think that's where it started.
You're full of energy, full of piss and vinegar.
So, well, I was, but then I was always very observant and very to myself a lot. I spent a lot of time on my own too. I was extremely shy.
What'd you do on your own? Did you do any creative
drawing? A lot of drawing.
What'd you draw? What'd you like to draw?
People, part faces, women, basketball players, album covers.
Okay, so the stuff you liked.
yeah. And then
you drew what you liked.
When I got into art class and we started drawing live models, nude models, I really started to learn about the body more, and then I was all set. Well, not set, but I was going to go to this place called Pasadena Art Center.
Okay,
it's pretty amazing art school
out in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah. I was good at it. I wasn't like jumping for joy, but I was like, okay, I guess between that and surfing, I guess, and at that time I was always going to the movies, but I was always staying and like seeing 2 or 3 while my other friends would bail, because I got so moved. I got so moved by every movie I saw because of these human connections on all these different levels. And, I found myself just drawn to that for some reason, like really authentic, especially the intense ones, because it reminded me of the trouble I was going through at home. Mm-hmm.
Which performers or performances can you remember from those days that really made an impact on you?
Roy Scheider in Jaws.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Roy Scheider and the guy that played Quint, Robert Shaw.
Okay. Yeah.
And Richard Dreyfuss. The movie wouldn't have worked without those guys.
Yeah, they were great.
Really, great. Seriously. There's no boating accident. The shark. You know what I mean? But as I went on, I saw East of Eden.
Okay. Yeah.
And I remember crying so hard at the end of that as a young, older teenager, young adult. Because I just understood it. Mm-hmm. I understood how Cal felt. I understood how he just wanted his father's love and the jealousy of his other brother and his dad so caught up in doing things right that he couldn't see. And it just moved me. And then I remember watching this TV show called Life Goes On about had a kid with Down syndrome on it.
Yeah. Yep.
There was this one episode, I can barely remember it, but there was this falling out between these 2 fathers. I think it was. I could be wrong. But there was a scene where one person had to apologize to the other or something for something really terrible. And seeing the person really be so vulnerable and be so sitting there with shame and admitting what he did wrong and hoping and having the other person finally accept it. I don't know. As a kid, I was just like, wow, I want to do, like, I love that. I want to be, how do I, and it just started, but there was always a quiet secret in my head, you know, like I wasn't going to tell anybody. So when I finally took an elective acting class at Orange Coast College, that's when all the doors came off, man. I was like, oh shit. And I never felt so alive and so usable. Useful.
How old were you when you took this elective?
Like 21, 22, something like that.
Have you found, because like I mean, at least I feel this way in my upbringing, like young men, you know, you got to be masculine, you got to hide your emotions, you know, you're seen as weak or, you know, to show yourself as vulnerable.
It was horrible.
It's difficult. So it sounds like from, you know, it was in private, you know, at the movie theaters, in the dark theaters, stuff like that. But it sounds like, you know, you weren't afraid of like going for that, which, it
wasn't that I wasn't afraid. It was just like when I read a passage or a monologue or a character and I read what he was going through, I just started feeling it.
Yeah.
Like one of the first classes I had in Los Angeles, this guy named Michael Verona, he had a little class he was doing, and a guy I was working with said, "Hey, PJ, you should come check out our acting class." I was like, "All right, sure." So I did. And Michael gave me this little scene to work on, or monologue, where this brother just lost his younger brother and he got killed, and it was because he wasn't looking out for him. And I don't have a younger brother, but I just understood what that guy was feeling. And so when I did the monologue, I did it, and I looked up and everybody was all teary-eyed and everything, and it just felt natural. It was like that was the truth. And people are like, whoa.
Then
and
something
I think that
clicked. Something clicked.
Then I started to realize that my vulnerability was an asset, was a you know, it was, yeah.
Did you ever write too? I mean, I know you said you drew.
I didn't, no, but you know, and then when I moved to New York and started studying with a guy named Wynn Hanman.
So so you took this elective when you were 21, and you're out west. When do you make the move to New York, and how did, you know?
Well, I did a couple of plays at Orange Coast College that following semester. Henry V, I had a small part in. And then I did William Sororin's The Time of Your Life, which is a pretty remarkable play. And I got cast as this lovelorn guy who's like hopelessly sick in love with this woman, and he's threatening to jump in the bay if she doesn't marry him. But I went for it, and they like cast, you know, and it was just it was marvelous. There was like this rush of like walking a tightrope, you know, like if you're in it, you're in it, but if you're not, you're exposed. You know, and that's still how it is in theater, which I love doing, you know, because you know, you really
So you go, when did you go to New York?
I went.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I moved to LA kind of quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was going okay. You were taking classes.
Yeah, and then I went to visit New York one summer with my mom because she's from there. And once we visited there and I spent 2 weeks there, I was like, okay, I'm coming here. I knew it in my gut. I got to go to New York. It was like, what?
Was your
crazy?
family like supportive?
No. I mean, they were as best they could, you know?
Yeah.
Really. Like, my brother was like, are you sure you know what you're doing? I mean, that's... God bless him, you know, he's just worried.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I don't know.
Cinema Activist is produced by Lions Den Productions. Hosted by John C. Lyons. Music by Tony Gray. Support the efforts of Lions Den Productions by becoming a patron at patreon.com/LionsDenProductions. Thank you for listening. We'll be back soon.